Dvaipayana Vidata Karya Tanmataya Om Sarvabhutarhinam Tamsi Shri Guru Jnana Dindam Swanandadata Kamaita Sindhu Vrindavana Kinahitavara Vasita Radha Pranaya Prachara Natha Guru Sansara Vandilam Tatramam Tardashtam Cha Amaham Sharanam Vataham Radha Sammukha Samsaksam Sati Sanganivasanam Tamaham Satsam Bande Guru Param Param. First of all, offer my billions of obeisances to lotus feet of Asmadi Guru Pad Padman Pila Prasad Guru Srimad Bhakti-Vidanta Vishnu Maharaj. Can also offer obeisances to lotus feet of Purangi Sannyasis Srimad Bhakti-Vidanta Vishnu Maharaj. Nameless to Sant Shri Aniruddha Das Babaji, all the Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis have gathered here to accept my humble obeisances. We are reading Srimad Bhagavatam. Tadvad Visargo Janatag Viplavo Yasmin Pratishlokamavaddavatyapi Namani Anantasya Shankitani Shrimanti Gayanti Granti Sadhava. उसके विपरीत जिन वाणियों अथवा ग्रंथों में भगवान अनंत देव की महिमा सूचक नामों का वर्णन है, उसका प्रत्येक श्लोक अथवा दूषित अपशब्दादि से युक्त रहने पर भी तथा स्थूल मान लय ताल आदि साहित्यगत अलंकार गुणों से रहित होने पर भी लोगों के पापों का विनाश करता है। ऐसी वाणी का वक्ता मिलने पर ही साधुजन उसका श्रवण करते हैं, श्रोता मिलने पर कीर्तन करते हैं, और यदि कोई न उनको तो स्वयं भी उच्चार करते हैं। तद्वार्गो जनता विप्लवो यस्मिन् प्रतिश्लोकमबद्धवति अपि नामानि अनन्तस्य शङ्कितानि यच्छृण्वन्ति गायन्ति कुर्वन्ति साधक. That vak vocabulary, visarga creation, janata the people in general, agaha sins, viplavaha revolution, yasmin in which pratislokan each and every stanza, abhaddavatis irregularly composed, appeal in spite of namani transcendental name, etc. Anantasya of the unlimited Lord, Yasha glories, Ankitani depicted, yet not. Shrivanti to hear, Anti to sing, Vinanti to ask, the purified who are. On the other hand, that literature which is full of descriptions of the transcendental glories of the name, flame, forms, pastimes, etc., of the unlimited Supreme Lord, different creation, full of transcendental words directed towards bringing about a revolution in the empire lives of these world's misdirected civilizations. Such transcendental literatures, even though imperfectly composed, are heard, sung, and accepted by purified men who are thoroughly honest. It is a qualification of the great thinkers to pick up the best even from the worst. It is said that the intelligent man should pick up lecture from a sort of poison and should accept gold even from a filthy, should accept a good and qualified wife even from a obscure family, and should accept a good lesson even from a man or from a teacher who comes from fantasy. These are some of the ethical instructions for everyone in every place without exception. But a saint is far above the level of an ordinary man. is always absorbed in glorifying the Supreme Lord because they are broadcasting the full name and fame of the Supreme Lord. The polluted atmosphere of the world will change, and as a result of propagating the transcendental literatures like Srimad Bhagavatam, people will become sane in their direction. While preparing this commentation on this particular stanza of Srimad Bhagavatam, we have a crisis before us. Our neighboring friend China has attacked the border of India with a militaristic spirit. They are practically no business in the political field. Yet we see that previously there were both China and India, and they both lived peacefully for centuries without ill feeling. The reason is that they lived those days in an atmosphere of God consciousness. Every country over the surface of the world was God fearing, pure hearted, and simple. And there was no question of political diplomacy. There is no cause of quarrel between the two countries, China and India, over land, is not really suitable for habitation. And certainly there is no cause for fighting on this issue. But due to the age of quarrel, Kali, which we have discussed, there is always a chance of quarrel on slight provocation. This is due not to the issue in question, but to the polluted atmosphere of the speech. Systematically, there is a propaganda by a section of people to stop glorification of the name and fame of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, there is a great need for disseminating the message of Srimad Bhagavatam all over the world. It is the duty of every responsible Indian to broadcast the transcendental message of Srimad Bhagavatam throughout the world to do all the supermost good as well as to bring about the desired peace in the world. Because India has failed in her duty by neglecting this responsible work, there is so much quarrel and trouble all over the world. We are confident that if the transcendental message of Srimad Bhagavatam is received only by the leading men of the world, certainly there will be a change of heart and naturally the people in general will follow. The mass of people in general are tools in the hands of the modern politicians and leaders of the people. If there is a change of heart of the leaders only, certainly there will be a radical change in the atmosphere of the world. You know that our honest attempt to present this great literature conveying transcendental messages for reviving the God consciousness of the people in general and re-spiritualizing the world atmosphere is partly many difficulties. Or presenting this matter in adequate language, especially a foreign language, will certainly fail, and there will be so many literary discrepancies despite our honest attempt to present it in the proper way. But we are sure that with all our faults in this connection, the seriousness of the subject matter will be taken into consideration, and the leaders of the society will still accept this due to its being an honest attempt to glorify the Almighty God. When there is fire in a house, the inmates of the house go out to get help from the neighbors who may be foreigners. And yet, without knowing the language, the victims of the fire express themselves and the neighbors understand the need. And even though not expressed in the same language, the same spirit of cooperation is needed to broadcast this transcendental message of the Srimad Bhagavatam throughout the political atmosphere of the world. After all, it is a technical science of spiritual values, and thus we are concerned with the techniques and not with the language. If the techniques of this great literature are understood by the people of the world, there will be success. When there are too many materialistic activities by the people in general all over the world, there is no wonder that a person or a nation attacks another person or nation on slight provocation. That is the rule of this age of Kali or Kwara. The atmosphere is already polluted with corruption of all description, and everyone knows it well. There are so many unwanted literatures full of materialistic ideas of self gratification. In many countries, there are bodies appointed by the state to detect and censor obscene literature. This means that neither the government nor the responsible leaders of the public want such literature. Yet it is in the marketplace because the people want it for self gratification. The people in general want to read, that is a natural instinct, but because their minds are polluted, they want such literature. Under the circumstances, transcendental literature like Srimad Bhagavatam will not only diminish the activities of the corrupt mind of the people in general, but also it will supply food for their hankering after reading. Some interesting information. In the beginning, they do not like it because one suffering from jaundice is reluctant to take sugar candy. But we should know that the sugar candy is the only remedy for jaundice. Similarly, let there be systematic propaganda for popularizing reading of the Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam, which will act like sugar candy for the jaundice-like condition of sugar. So men have a taste for this literature. The other literatures which are catering poison to society will then automatically cease. We are sure, therefore, that everyone in human society will welcome Srimad Bhagavatam, even though it is still, even though it is now presented with so many faults. For it is recommended by Sri Narad, who has very kindly appeared in this chapter. Naishkaramam apyachyuta bhavavarjitam na shobhate jnanamalam niranjanam kuta puna shashvaramatramishware charpitam karmartyata karanam. समस्त प्रकार की कर्म वासनाओं के रहित होने पर भी मोक्ष की प्राप्ति का साक्षात साधन निर्मल ब्रह्म ज्ञान यदि भगवान की हरि की भक्ति से रहित हो तो वह भी शोभा नहीं देगा। अतः जो साधन और सिद्धि दोनों ही अवस्थाओं में सदा ही अमंगल स्वरूप तथा दुखप्रद है, वह काम्य कर्म यहाँ तक कि निष्काम कर्म भी यदि भगवान को अर्पण नहीं किए गए हो तो वह कर्म भी कैसे सुशोभित हो सकते हैं। इसका कारण है कि वह भागवत सेवा और शुद्ध सत्वी शुद्ध तत्व शुद्धि के भाव से रहित हो गई। नैष्कर्मम अप्यच्युत भाव वर्जितम न शोभते ज्ञानमलम निरंजनम कुतः पुनः शश्वत भद्रमीश्वरे न चार्जितम कर्म यद्यप्यतारणम। Niष्कर्म, self-realization, being freed from the reactions of fruity work, appeal in spite of Achyuta, the infallible Lord, our perfection, Vargitam, devoid of, Na does not, Suvate, look well, Jnanam, transcendental knowledge, Alam, by and by, Niranjanam, peace from the divinity, Kutaha, Naha, Shashwata, always, Abhadram, and pray unto the Lord, Na, not, Cha, and Arpitam, of course, Karma, fruity work, Yad, Api, what is, Ataram, not to. Knowledge of realization, even though free from all material affinity, not to prevent the perfection of the infallible Lord. What they use of fruity activities, which are naturally painful from the very beginning and from by nature, if they are not utilized for the devotional service of Lord, As referred to above, not only ordinary literature devoid of the transcendental glorification of the Lord are condemned, but also Vedic literatures and speculation on the subject of impersonal Brahman when they are devoid of devotional service. When speculation on the impersonal Brahma is condemned on the above ground, then what to speak of ordinary fruity work, which is not meant to fulfill the aim of devotional service. Such speculative knowledge and fruity work cannot lead one to the goal of perfection. Fruity work in which almost all people in general are engaged is always fruitful either in the beginning or at the end. It can be fruitful only when made subservient to the devotional service of the Lord. In the Bhagavad Gita also, it is confirmed that the result of such fruity work may be offered for the service of the Lord, otherwise it leads to material bondage. The bona fide enjoyer of the fruity work is the personality of Godhead. And thus, when it is engaged for the self gratification of the living being, it becomes an acute source of trouble. अथो महाभाग भवान मोगो शुचिश्रवा सत्करथो धृतव्रता कुरुक्रमस्याखिलबन्धमुक्ते समाधिनाथेव खलु समाधिमानुस्मरत द्वितीय। अतः महाभाग वेदव्यास जी आपकी दृष्टि अमोघ अर्थात सर्व विद्यति है। आपका यश पवित्र है, आप हरिकथा श्रवण सत्करिश का नियम पर आए। अतः सभी जीवों को माया के बंधन से मुक्त कराने के लिए आप अचिंत्य शक्ति भगवान गुरुपुराण की विविध लीला चेष्टाओं का समाधि द्वारा एकाग्र चित्त से ध्यान के वर्णन कीजिए। विशुद्ध चित्त में श्री भगवान की लीलाएं स्वयं प्रकाशित होती है। अथो महाभाग भवान मोघ शुचिश्रवा सत्करतो धृतव्रता कुरुक्रमस्याखिलबन्धमुक्ते समाधिनां स्मरतद्विचेष्टितम्। अथो therefore Mahabharata, highly fortunate. Bhavan, yourself, Amoga Druk, the perfect seer. Suchi, spotless. Shravaha, famous. Satkarataha, having taken the vow of truth. Vritavrataha, fixed in spiritual qualities. Urukramasya, after one, performs supernatural activities, God. Akhila, universal. Bandha, bondage. Muktai, for liberation from. Samadhina, by trance, Anusmara, being repeatedly and then describe them. Tad Vicheshtitam, various pastimes of the Lord. O Vasudev, your vision is completely perfect. Your good fame is spotless. You are firm in vow and situated in peacefulness. And thus you can think of the pastimes of the Lord in trance for the liberation of the people in general from all material bondage. People in general have a taste for literature, so instinct. They want to hear and read from the authorities something about the unknown, but their taste is exploited by unfortunate literatures, which are full of subject matter for satisfaction of the material senses. Such literatures contain different kinds of mundane poems and philosophical speculations, more or less under the influence of Maya, ending in self-gratification. These literatures, although worthless in the true sense of the term, are hideously decorated to attract the attention of the less intelligent being. Thus, the attracted living beings are more entangled in material bondage without hope of liberation for thousands and thousands of generations. In our Rishi, being the best among the Vaishnavas, is compassionate towards such unfortunate victims of worthless literatures. And thus, he advised Srivastava composed ancient mental literature, which is not only attractive but can also actually bring liberation from all kinds of bondage. So the Vasudev or his representatives are qualified because they are rightly trained in teaching and true perspective. So the Vasudev and his representatives are pure in thought due to their spiritual enlightenment, fixed in their vows due to their devotional service, and determined to deliver the fallen souls rotting in material. The fallen souls are very eager to receive novel information every day. And the transcendentalists like Vasudev or Narad can supply such eager people in general with unlimited news from the spiritual world. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that the material world is only a part of the whole creation, and that this earth is only a fragment of the whole material world. There are thousands and thousands of literary men all over the world, and they have created many, many thousands of literary works for the information of the people in general for thousands and thousands of years. Unfortunately, none of them have brought peace and tranquility on the earth. This is due to a spiritual vacuum with those literatures. Therefore, the Vedic literatures, especially the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, are specifically recommended to suffering humanity to bring about the desired effect of liberation from the pangs of material civilization, which is eating the vital part of human energy. The Bhagavad Gita is the spoken message of the Lord Himself, recorded by Vasudev, and Srimad Bhagavatam is the transcendental narration of the activities of the Lord. It alone can satisfy the contrary desire of the living being for eternal peace and liberation from misery. Srimad Bhagavatam, therefore, is meant for all the living beings, all the universe, for total liberation from all kinds of material bondage. This transcendental narration of the past time of the Lord can be described only by liberated souls like Vasudev and its representatives who are completely merged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Only to such devotees to the pastimes of the Lord and their transcendental nature become automatically manifest by dint of devotion. No one else can either know or describe the acts of the Lord, even if they speculate on the subject for many, many years. The descriptions of the Bhagavatam are so precise and accurate that whatever has been registered in this great literature about 5,000 years ago is now exactly happening. Therefore, the vision of the author comprehends past, present, and future. Such liberated persons as Vasudev are perfect not only by the power of vision and wisdom, but also in power of research. In thinking, feeling, and all other things of thinking. A liberated person possesses perfect senses, and with perfect senses only can one serve self-proprietor Vishnu, Sri Krishna, the personality of God. But Bhagavatam, therefore, is the perfect description of the all perfect personality of Godhead by the all perfect personality Vasudev, the compiler of the Vedas. Hari Bol. Govinda Jai Jai Gopal Jai Jai Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jai Jai Govinda Jai Gopal Jai Jai Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jai Jai. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare. ततोऽन्यथा किञ्चन यद्वीक्षता पृथग्दृशस्तत्कृतरूपनामभिः न कर्हि चित्त्वापि च दुःस्थितामति लभेत वाताहत। भगवान श्री हरि की लीला चेष्टा अर्थात उनकी महिमा के वर्णन के अतिरिक्त यदि कोई किसी अन्य विषय को वर्णन करने की इच्छा करता है तो वह अनर्थ का परिचायक मनोधर्म है। उस मनोधर्म में विभिन्न नाम और रूप पुरस्कृत होते हैं जिनसे विक्षिप्त होकर बुद्धि उसी प्रकार स्थिर नहीं रह पाती जिस प्रकार वायु वेग से डगमगाती नौका। ततोऽन्यथा किंचन यदीक्षता पृथग्दृशस्तत्कृतरूपनामभिः न कर्हि चित्त्वापि च दुःस्थितामपि लभेत वाताहतमविवास्पदम्। ततोऽन्यथा किंचन यद्विवक्षता पृथग्दृशस्तत्कृतरूपनामभिः न कर्हि चित्त्वापि च दुःस्थितामपि लभेत वाताहतमविवास्पदम्। Tata, from that, Amnatha, apart, Kinchana, something, yet whatsoever, Vivakshataha, desiring to describe, Pruthak, separately, Krishaha, vision, Tat Kruta, reactionary to that, Rupa form, Nama V, by names, Na Karhichit, never, Swapi, any, Cha and, Dusthita, Mati, oscillating mind, the face of games, Vata Ahata, troubled by the wind, now both you are like Aspadam bliss. Whatever you desire to describe that is separate in vision from the Lord simply reacts with different forms, names and results to agitate the mind as the wind agitates a boat which has no resting place. Shri Vyasadeva is the editor of all descriptions of the Vedic literatures, and thus he has described transcendental realization in different ways, namely by appropriate activities, speculative knowledge, mystic power, and devotional service. Besides that, in his previous Puranas, he has recommended the worship of so many demigods in different forms and names. The result is that people in general are puzzled how to fix their minds in the service of the Lord. They are always disturbed about finding the real path of self-realization. When Narad Dev is pressing this particular defect in the Vedic literatures compiled by Vyasadeva, and thus he is trying to emphasize describing everything in relation with the Supreme Lord and no one else. In fact, there is nothing existent except the Lord. The Lord is manifested in different expansions. He is the root of the complete tree. He is the stomach of the complete body. Pouring water on the root is the right process to water the tree as much as feeding the stomach supplies energy to all parts of the body. Therefore, Srila Vyasadeva should not have compiled any Puranas other than the Bhagavad Puran, because a slight deviation from that may create havoc for self-realization. If a slight deviation can create such havoc, then what to speak of deliberate expansion of the ideas separate from the absolute truth, personality of Godhead? The most effective part of worshipping demigods is that creates a definite conception of pantheism, ending disastrously in many religious sects, detrimental to the progress of the principles of the Bhagavatam, which alone can give the accurate direction for self-realization in eternal relation with the personality of Godhead by devotional service in transcendental love. The example of the boat disturbed by whirling wind is suitable in this respect. The diverted mind of the pantheist can never reach the perfection of self-realization due to the disturbed condition of the selection of objects. जुगुप्सितं धर्मकृतेऽनुशासता स्वभावरक्तस्य महान् व्यतिक्रमा यद्वाक्यतो धर्म इति तरास्थितो न मन्यते तस्य निवारणं जना। स्वभावता ही निंदित काम्य कर्मों में आसक्त संसारी लोगों के धर्म के लिए आपने जो काम्य कर्म के विधि दी है, जैसे देवता और पितरों का भली भांति अर्चन करके मांस खाने पर दोष का भागी नहीं होना पड़ता इत्यादि आपके द्वारा दिए गए इन सब विधि बात को ही विषय लोग मूर्ख लोग मुख्य धर्म के रूप में मान लेते हैं। अतः आपके यहाँ वहां अनर्थ हो गया है यदि कोई तत्व के व्यक्ति इस प्रकार की पशु हिंसा आदि विधि विधान के अनुष्ठान का निषेध भी करे तो भी संसार में आसक्त लोग इसके उपदेशों को न समझेंगे नहीं मानेंगे। जुगुप्सितम verily condemned dharma krite for the matter of religion anushasata instruction स्वभाव रक्तस्य naturally inclined महान great व्यतिक्रमा unreasonable यत व्याख्यता under whose instruction dharma religion it is thus taraha the people in general pita fixed na do not manyate think tasya of that nivaranam prohibition janaha they. The people in general are naturally inclined to enjoy, and you encourage them in that way in the name of religion. This is verily condemned and is quite unreasonable because they are guided under your instructions. They accept such activities in the name of religion and hardly care for it. In the Vyasadev's declaration of different literatures on the basis of regulated performances of spiritual activities, as depicted in the Mahabharata and other literature, is condemned here with by Srila Narad. The human beings, by long material association, life after life, have a natural inclination by practice to endeavor to lord it over material energy. They have no sense of the responsibility of human life. This human life, this human form of life is a chance to get out of the clutches of the very matter. The Vedas are meant for going back to Godhead, going back home, to revolve in the cycle of transmigration in a series of lives numbering 8,400,000 is an imprisoned life, is an imprisoned life for the condemned conditioned souls. Human form of life is a chance to get out of this imprisoned life. And as such, the only occupation of the human being is to reestablish his lost relationship with God. Under the circumstances, we should never be encouraged in making a plan for self-enjoyment in the name of religious function. The diversions of the human energy result, results in a misguided civilization. So the Vyasudeva is the authority in Vedic explanations in the Mahabharata, etc. And his encouragement in sense enjoyment in some form or other is a great barrier for spiritual advancement because the people in general will not agree to renounce material activities which hold them into God. At a certain stage of human at a certain stage of human civilization, when such material activities in the name of religion, as sacrificing animals in the name of yajna, were too much rampant, the Lord incarnated himself as Buddha and decried the authority of the Vedas in order to stop animal sacrifice in the name of religion. This was foreseen by Narad and therefore he condemned such literatures. The flesh eaters still continue to perform animal sacrifice before some demigod or goddess in the name of religion, because in some of the Vedic literatures, regulated sacrifices are recommended. They are so recommended to discourage fleshly. But gradually the purpose of such religious activities is forgotten and the slaughterhouses becomes prominent. This is because foolish materialistic men do not care to listen to others who are actually in a position to explain the Vedic rites. In the Vedas, it is distinctly said that the perfection of life is never to be attained either by voluminous work or by accumulation of wealth or even by increasing the population. It is so attained only by renunciation. The materialistic men do not care to listen to such injunctions. According to them, the so-called material, according to them, the so-called renounced order of life is meant for those who are unable to earn their livelihood because of some corporeal defects, or for persons who have failed to achieve prosperity in family life. In histories like the Mahabharata, of course, there are topics on transcendental subjects along with material topics. The Bhagavad Gita is there in the Mahabharata. The whole idea of the Mahabharata culminates in the ultimate instructions of the Bhagavad Gita, that one should relinquish all other engagements and should engage oneself solely and fully in surrendering unto the lotus feet of the Lord, Sri Krishna. But men with materialistic tendencies are more attracted to the politics, economics, and philanthropic activities mentioned in the Mahabharata than to the principal topic, namely the Bhagavad Gita. This compromising spirit of Vyasadeva is directly condemned by Narad, who advises him to directly proclaim that the prime necessity of human life is to realize one's eternal relation with the Lord and thus surrender unto Him without delay. A patient suffering from a particular type of malady is always inclined to accept eatables which are forbidden for him. The expert physician does not make any compromise with the patient by allowing him to take partially what he should not at all take. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is also said that a man attached to fruitive work should not be discouraged from his occupation, or gradually he may be elevated to the position of self-realization. This is sometimes applicable for those who are only trying in philosophy without spiritual realization. But those who are in devotional line need not be always so advised. विचक्षणोऽर्थार्हति वेदितुं विभोर् अनन्तपारस्य निवृत्तिता सुखम् प्रवर्तमानस्य गुणैरात्मनात्मनस्ततो भवान् दर्शय चेष्टितम्. तत्व विचारों में अति निपुण कोई के व्यक्ति ही समस्त सांसारिक विषयों को छोड़कर असीम अनंत सर्वव्यापी भगवान श्री हरि के सेवा सुखरूप परमानंद को जानने में समर्थ हो सकते, किंतु पारमार्थिक बुद्धि से रहित व्यक्ति नहीं। इसलिए सर्वज्ञ आप सत्यवादी तीनों गुणों द्वारा नचाए जाने वाले देहाभिमानी समस्त लोगों के कल्याण के लिए भगवान की नवनवायमान लीलाओं का वर्णन कीजिए। विचक्षणोऽस्यार्थति वेदितुं विभोर् अनन्तपारस्य निवृत्तिता सुखम् प्रवर्तमानस्य गुणैर्नात्मनस्ततो भगवान् दर्शय चेष्टितम्. Vichakshana, very expert, Asya of him, Arhati deserves, Vedipum to understand, Vibho of the Lord, Ananta Parasya of the unlimited, Nivritti Daha, retired from, Sukham, material happiness, Pravarta Manasya, those who are attached to, Gunai, by the material, Mahatma, giver of knowledge, Tata, therefore, Bhavan, your goodness, Darshaya, show the ways, Vishtitam activities, Vibho of the Lord. The Supreme Lord is unlimited, only a very expert of manship, retired from the activities of material happiness, deserves to understand his knowledge of spiritual value. Therefore, those who are not so well situated due to material attachment should be shown the ways of transcendental realization by your givers through descriptions of the transcendental activities of the Supreme Lord. Theological science is a difficult subject, especially when it deals with the transcendental nature of God. It is not a subject matter to be understood by persons who are too much attached to material activities. Only the very expert who are almost retired from materialistic activities by culture of spiritual knowledge can be admitted to the study of this great science. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is clearly stated that out of many thousands, out of many hundreds and thousands of men, only 1% deserves to enter into transcendental realization. And out of many thousands of such transcendental realized persons, only a few can understand the theological science, specifically dealing with God as a person. See, Vasudev is therefore advised by Narad to describe the science of God directly by relating his transcendental activity. Vasudev is himself a personality expert in this science and he is unattached to material enjoyment. Therefore, he is the right person to describe it. And Shuddha Goswami, the son of Vasudev, is the right person to receive it. Srimad Bhagavatam is the topmost theological science. Therefore, it can react on the layman as medicinal doses. Because it contains the transcendental activities of the Lord, there is no difference between the Lord and the literature. The literature is the factual literary incarnation of the Lord, so the layman can hear the narration of the activities of the Lord. Thereby, they are able to associate with the Lord and thus gradually become purified from material diseases. The expert devotees also can discover novel ways and means to convert the non-devotees in terms of particular time and circumstance. Devotional service is dynamic activity, and expert devotees can find out competent means to inject it into the dull brains of the materialistic population. So, transcendental activities of the devotees for the service of the Lord can bring a new order of life to the foolish society of materialistic men. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his subsequent followers exhibited expert dexterity in this connection. By following the same method, one can bring the materialistic men of this age of quarrel into order for peaceful life and transcendental realization. त्यक्त्वा स्व त्यक्त्वा स्वधर्मं चरणाम्बुजं हरेर् भजन्न पक्वोऽथ पतेत् ततो यदि यत्तक्त्वा भद्रमुदवश्य किं वो वार्ताप्तो भजतां स्वधर्मताम् त्यक्त्वा स्वधर्मं चरणाम्बुजं हरेर् भजन्न पक्वोऽथ पतेत् ततो यदि यत्तक्त्वा भद्रमुदवश्य किं वो वार्ताप्तो भजतां स्वधर्मताम्। जो अपने वर्णाश्रम धर्म का परित्याग कर हरि के चरण कमलों का भजन करता है, सिद्ध होने की बात तो दूर रहे, असिद्ध अवस्था में भी यदि वह भजन से किसी प्रकार से भ्रष्ट हो जाए अथवा उसकी मृत्यु हो जाए तो भी कर्म त्याग वशता उसमें कभी भी अमंगल अथवा पतन नहीं हो सकता। अर्थात वह किसी भी अवस्था में रहे, यहाँ तक कि नीच योनि में भी रहे, तो भी ऐसे भगवत रसिक में सेवा की वासना रहने के कारण क्या कभी उसका अमंगल हो सकता है? किंतु भक्तिहीन स्वधर्म का पालन करने वाले मनुष्य को न तो कोई लाभ मिलता है, न ही उनका कोई प्रयोजन सिद्ध होता है। तत्वा having forsaken स्वधर्मम one's own occupational engagement, Charanambujam, the lotus feet, Harehe of Hari, the Lord, Bhajan, in the course of devotional service, Apakwaha, mature, Atha, for the matter of, Patet, falls down, Tataha, from that place, Yadi, if, Yatra, whereupon, Kva, what sort of, Va, or used sarcastically, Avadram, unfavorable, Avut, shall happen, Amushya, of him, came nothing, Kva, Artha, what interest, Aktaha, obtained, Avajatam, of the non-devotee, Swadharmata, being engaged in occupational service. One who has forsaken his material occupations, to engage in the devotional service of the Lord, may sometimes fall down while in an immature state where there is no danger of his being unsuccessful. On the other hand, a non-devotee, though fully engaged in occupational duties, does not gain anything. As far as the duties of mankind are concerned, there are innumerable duties. Every man is duty bound not only to his parents, family members, society, country, humanity, other living beings, demigods, etc., but also to the great philosophers, poets, scientists, etc. It is enjoined in the scriptures that one can relinquish all such duties and surrender unto the service of the Lord. If one does so and becomes successful in the discharge of his devotional service unto the Lord, it is well and good. But it so happens sometimes that one surrenders himself unto the service of the Lord by some temporary sentiment, and in the long run, due to so many other reasons, he falls down from the path of service by undesirable association. There are so many instances of this in the histories. Bharat Maharaj was obliged to take his birth as a stag due to his intimate attachment to a stag. He thought of the stag when he died. As such, in the next birth he became stag. Although he did not forget the incident of his previous birth. Similarly, Chitraketu also fell down due to his offenses to the feet of Shiva. But in spite of all this, his stress is even here to surrendering unto the lotus feet of the Lord, even if there is a chance of falling down. Because even though one falls down from the prescribed duties of devotional service, he will never forget the lotus feet of the Lord. Once engaged in the devotional service of the Lord, one will continue the service in all circumstances. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that even a small quantity of devotional service can save one from the most dangerous position. There are many instances of such examples. Ajamil is one of them. Ajamil in his early life was a devotee, but in his youth he fell down. Still, he was saved by the Lord at the end. तस्यैव हेतो प्रयतेत कोविदो न लभ्यते यद्भ्रमता उपर्यथा तल्लभते दुःखवदन्यथा सुखम् कालेन सर्वत्र गभीररंहसा तस्यैव हेतो प्रयतेत कोविदो न लभ्यते यत्तमतां पर्यधा तल्लभ्यते दुःखवदन्यता सुखं कालेन सर्वत्र गवीररं तथा। विवेकी पुरुष कभी भी उन लोभपूर्ण वचनों से प्रभावित नहीं होते जो वचन स्वधर्म के पालन से प्राप्त होने वाले लौकिक फलों का निरूपण करते हैं। वे तो उस नित्य सुख के लिए प्रयत्न करते हैं कि उच्च ब्रह्मा से लेकर निम्न स्थावर पूर्ण तक की योनियों में भ्रमण करने वाले जीव को भी कभी प्राप्त नहीं होता। इस प्रकार बिना चेष्टा के भी दुख प्राप्त होता है। उसी प्रकार गंभीर वेगशाली काल के प्रभाव से विषय सुख भी पूर्वक कर्म फलों के कारण सभी अवस्थाओं में, यहाँ तक कि नारद के शुकर योनि में भी प्राप्त होता है। तस्य, for that purpose, eva, only, heto, reason, prayateta, should endeavor, ovida, one who is philosophically inclined, na labhyate, is not obtained, yet, what? Brahmatam, wandering, upari, adha, from top to bottom, that labdate can be obtained, Dukhavat, like the miseries, Anyata, as a result of previous work, Sukham, sense enjoyment, Kalena, in course of time, Sarvatra, everywhere, Gabhira, subtle, Ramhasa, progress. Persons who are actually intelligent and philosophically inclined should endeavor only for that purposeful end which is not obtainable even by wandering from the topmost planet Brahmaloka down to the lowest planet Patal. As far as happiness derived from sense enjoyment is concerned, it can be obtained automatically in course of time, just as in course of time we obtain miseries even though we do not desire them. Every man, everywhere is trying to obtain the greatest amount of sense enjoyment by various endeavors. Some men are busy engaged in trade, industry, economic development, political supremacy, etc. And some of them are engaged in fruity work to become happy in the next life by attaining higher planets. It is said that on the moon, the inhabitants are fit for greater sense enjoyment by drinking somara. And the Pitraloka is obtained by good charitable work. So there are various programs for sense enjoyment. Either during this life or in the life after that, some are trying to reach the moon or other planets by some mechanical arrangement where they are very anxious to get into such planets without doing good work. But it is not to happen. By the law of the Supreme, different places are meant for different grades of living beings according to the work they have performed. By good work only, as prescribed in the scriptures, can one obtain birth in a good family, opulence, good education, and good body. We see also that even in this life, one obtains a good education or money by good work. Similarly, in our next birth, we get such desirable positions only by good work. Otherwise, it would not so happen that two persons born in the same place at the same time are seen differently placed according to previous work. But all such material positions are impermanent. The positions in the topmost Brahmaloka and the lowest Patal are also changeable according to our own work. The philosophically inclined person must not be tempted by such changeable positions. If you try to get into the permanent life of bliss and knowledge, where he will not be forced to come back again to the miserable material world, either in this or that planet. Misery and mixed happiness are two features of material life, and they are obtained in Brahmaloka and other lokas also. They are obtained in the life of the demigods and also in the life of the dogs and hogs. The miseries and mixed happiness of all living beings are only of different degree or quality. But no one is free from the miseries of birth and death, miseries of birth, death, old age, and disease. Similarly, everyone has his destined happiness also. No one can get more or less of these things simply by personal endeavors. Even if they are obtained, they can be lost again. One should not therefore waste time with these flimsy things. One should only endeavor to go back to Godhead. That should be the mission of everyone's life. Hare Krishna. So we'll stop here. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. जय श्री श्री गुरु गौरांग गांधर जी का गिरधारी श्री राधा विनोद की जय। जय नितला पृथ्वी जगदगुरु शिशु भक्तिवेदांत नारायण विष्णु महाराज गुरुदेव की जय। नितला पृष्ठम विष्णुपाश शिशु भक्तिवेदांत वामन विष्णु महाराज की जय। नितला पृष्ठम विष्णुपाश शिशु भक्तिवेदांत विष्णु महाराज की जय। नितला पृष्ठम विष्णुपाश शिशु गौर गोविंद विष्णु महाराज की जय। नितला पृष्ठम विष्णुपाश शिशु भक्तिवेदांत महाराज की जय। आकर की श्रीमद भक्ति महाराज की जय। हरिकृष्ण कृष्ण भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोपाल ठाकुर की जय। श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्री वासुदेव गौर भक्त की जय। जय श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपी गोवर्धन कृष्ण मंडल की जय। सर्व विघ्न विनाशम विघ्न विनाशम विष्णु देवता की जय। भक्ति प्रसाद महाराज की जय। चारों संप्रदाय की जय। चारों आचार्य की जय। चारों धाम की जय। आकर मत्था के मठ की जय। श्रीनाथ गौड़ी मठ की जय। ज्ञानी सारा मठ की जय। श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। प्रेम स्वामी श्री श्रीमद भक्तिवेदांत दंडी महाराज जी की जय। नामनिष्ठ संत श्री अनुदास प्रभु की जय। मठे से वृंद की जय। धाम भक्त वृंद की जय। समागत भक्त वृंद की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंद हरि हरि बोल। गुंडीचा मार्जन की जय। जगन्नाथ यात्रा की जय। क्षमा करो दया करो कृपा करो रक्षा करो गुरुवे गौर चंद्राय राधिकाय दलाले कृष्णा कृष्ण भक्ताय नमः नमः। ओम ब्रह्माय तुलसीदेव्याय नित्याय केशवस्य च कृष्ण भक्ति पूते सत्ये नमः। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंद। हरे
Hare Krishna, Srimad Bhakti-Vidanta Vishnu Daivata Maharaj ki jai. Vanchakalpatarubhyasya Kripasinabhyo Vichapatitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Vaishnavibhyo. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna Maharaj Dandavat Pranams. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, Dandavat Pranams. Thank you all for joining in today. And we'll see you all tomorrow. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranams. Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, same time 9 o'clock. Okay? 9 o'clock because I can work
Yes.
these days. All right. So
Okay.
we can
No
continue
problem.
reading tomorrow. Maybe Jaiva Dharma. Maybe Jaiva
Yes.
Dharma and then Bhagavatam. Okay. All right. Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranams. Thank you.
Dhanavad.